closer for semifinal action for D2 boys hockey between your Oyster River Bobcats and the St. Thomas Saints. I know one game that I was at earlier this season was a wild game. Bobcats won in overtime. So I would expect nothing short as fantastic hockey here tonight. So the Oyster River Portsmouth Clippercats, the girls team, cinched their third trip to the state championship in a row last night. 5-1 win over Bishop Brady Trinity Bow Co-op. And we're hoping for a repeat of last year where both the boys and the girls from Oyster River are at the state tournament together. So again, get ready for a great night of hockey. About 5 minutes left of warm-ups and we'll get to introductions. Hopefully the audio and video is good. A lot of friends here in East River. Thankfully. Getting ready for announcements, so I'm going to go on mute.
Good evening and welcome to Congress Arena. And tonight's 2025 NHIAA Division II Boys Ice Hockey Semifinal game between the third-seeded Saints of St. Thomas Aquinas High School and the number 2 seed Oyster River High School Bobcats. For St. Thomas, number 2, Harry.
Number 2, Harry. For St. Thomas.
Number 5, Jack Kelly.
3, Thayer. Number 5, Kelly. Number 7, Evans. Number 8, Kozlowski. Number 9, Aceto.
Number 11, Cooper Brody.
I'm sorry, I thought they were announcing the starting lineup. Does not appear they're doing that here right now. They're announcing the whole team. I will be quiet.
Number 17, Gus Rohan. Number 18, Patrick McGahee. Number 22, Brandon McGahee. And number 23, Mike Flood.
Assuming this will be the starting lineup.
Number 4, Thomas Edgerly.
Number 4, Eggerly.
Number 16, Logan Lemieux.
Number 16, Lemieux.
At right wing, number 6, Gabe Carlisle.
Number 6, Carlisle.
At right wing, number 19, Jackson
Estes. Number 19.
And in goal for St. Thomas,
Tibbetts, number 21. And number 1 in net, Petau.
Mickey Druin and Ben Braithwaite, and the head coach is Harry Plummer. And now let's meet the number 2 seed Oyster River Bobcats. Number 2, Joe Durksmeyer.
Number 2, Durksmeyer.
Number 4, Maverick Wixon.
Number 4, Wixon.
Number 5, Nico Belladonna. Number 6, Kevin.
Number 5, Belladonna.
Number 7,
Number 6, Kell. Number 7, Byer.
Number 8, Gavin Horn.
Number 8, Horn.
Number 9, Madison March.
Number 9, March.
Number 10, Liam Eddy. Number 11, Amos
Number
White.
10, Eddie.
Number 13, Sawyer Levesque. Number 14, Nick Dreyer.
14, Dreyer.
19, Brayden Moriarty. Number
19, Moriarty.
And number 32, Riley Bear.
Number 12, Levesque.
Starting on the fence, number 16, Brady
Number
Galt.
32, Bayan. And starting lineup,
Also on the fence,
Number 16,
15,
Galt.
Dominic DeRosa.
number 15, DeRosa.
Number 3, Nolan Swiss.
Number 3, Swiss.
At right wing, number 20, Nolan Walsh.
Levesque. And in net, Harwood, number 33.
The penalty box attendants are Nico Jenkins and Brenda Slocum. Tonight's officials are Gary Young, Shane Belanger, and Keith Ross. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you now please rise and remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem.
Merrimack knocked out Spalding. A 5-1 victory, so Merrimack punches their tickets to the state tournament. Getting ready to get the Bobcats a ticket. St. Thomas ended the season 14-4 in the number 3 seed. Oyster River 13-3-2 is the 2 seed with the win over St. Thomas. They were tied for points. Hotly contested season this year in Division II hockey. Here. So it looks like the teams are ready. Officials checking with the goalies. And the puck's dropped. St. Thomas will win that face-off. They'll dump it into the zone, go on the chase. Bobcats get it on the wall, send it up the board. St. Thomas keeps it in. That puck's down low, number 19 for St. Thomas. Bobcats will send it up and they'll clear the zone. St. Thomas back to gather it up. They'll send it hard up the board. Swiss here on the wall. Levesque sends that in. That'll bounce around. St. Thomas sends it behind their goal. They'll come up the near wall, sending it across the middle. St. Thomas will come into the zone, get a shot. That's going to be a good save by Harwood. I hope you can hear sound in the stadium. Great 5 here for Division II semifinals. Good student sections on both sides. That puck comes through the neutral zone. St. Thomas gathers it up as they were reversing. And they'll fit cleanly into the zone. They'll center it across. Shot defended. Fed up into the neutral zone. Beyer will send it in. That's a shot on net, and that's a save. Bobcats wearing their white jerseys tonight. St. Thomas in their blues. Bobcats home team for this evening. It's the higher seed. That face-off won by the Bobcats, but St. Thomas coming on with pressure. There's a whistle. Offsides, I believe. Come back for a neutral zone drop here. And face-off go to the opposite side. Face-off won by Levesque. Pucks into the neutral zone. St. Thomas with possession. Coming down the wall. He'll go into the corner. That's number 21 for St. Thomas. He'll leave it behind. March will pick that up behind the net, send it up the wall, and that's going to get past. No icing. It's waved off. Foot race won by the Bobcats. They'll send it around the wall, and it got hung up. St. Thomas sends it all the way down for an icing. Great student section here for the Bobcats. You'll see them in the frame up in the rafters there. Well, the balcony, I should say, not the rafters. Face-off won by St. Thomas back. They're going to bounce it off the boards, but the Bobcats get to it, chip it back into the zone. St. Thomas clears it out. Moriarty there to pick it up. Moriarty with the game-winning overtime goal. That puck is still loose. There's the whistle. Good job by the Bobcats to protect the space. Face-off won by the Bobcats. Shipped off the wall is Moriarty. Gets into the zone. St. Thomas will get it out of the zone. Bobcats will have to regroup. Had to walk the line a little bit. Eddie took the check. St. Thomas gathers the puck off it, but the Bobcats with it here. Eddie out front, shot, save. Comes over to the wall. Eddie battling his support by Byer. He's got it pinned in his feet. He pulls it off the wall. He's going to step up with it. Wasn't able to quite get the shot he wanted, but it was a backhand shot, goes wide of the net. St. Thomas gathers it up, enters the zone. Byer supporting. Pushes it out and out of the zone. St. Thomas will send it back in. That goes off Dreher. Dreher will pick it up. It gets sent here to the near side. Dreher will bounce it off the wall. St. Thomas picks it up, sends a shot off the glass above the net. Levesque into the corner. Dreher behind the net. St. Thomas goes to the corner, comes away with the puck, or at least sends it. Levesque will pick it up behind the net, sends it off the glass, and that'll clear the zone. This signal for icing. That'll come back. Face-off won by the Bobcats. DeRosa with it, sends it around to Galt. Galt gets it out of the zone. St. Thomas sends it back in. Galt picks it up, sends it around to DeRosa. Back to Galt. Galt up the wall to Swiss. Swiss tips it into the neutral zone. And the Bobcats pinched off, but they'll temporarily get it into the zone. Puck is sent into the zone, just wide of the net. Played by St. Thomas, so no whistle here. Comes out to Galt. Galt will chip it off the glass, gets past Levesque with it. He'll enter the zone. He pulls up, gets a shot off the goalie's glove, wide of the net. Goes to the far wall. Swiss will chip it back in below the goal line. Pressure by Levesque. Moriarty here keeping it on the blue line. St. Thomas will gain the zone. There's a shot off, saved by Harwood. And out of the zone, the puck comes. Back into the corner. They get tangled up. There's no hands up. St. Thomas will send it into the neutral zone. They've got, puck comes loose. There's gonna be a low shot. Puck was left out on the doorstep and cleared wide. Here comes the Bobcats, there's a goal! There's the Bobcats. First on the board, Moriarty. They stretched the ice out. He was there waiting on the blue line, guided it right into the zone and over the goalie's shoulder for the first goal. Bobcats 1-0. Bobcats win that puck back. March will bounce it off the board into the neutral zone. St. Thomas has a delayed offsides. It's battling in the neutral zone. They'll gain the zone. Number 19 with a shot deflected. March picks it up. Levesque will take it into the zone, leaves it out front, comes off his stick, and that's going to go all the way down for an icing for St. Thomas. Moriarty, say unassisted? That was definitely a pass, I think. Picked up Moriarty, another shot on net. It's gonna come out to the wall. St. Thomas gains the neutral zone. They send a shot wide of the net. Dreher with it, will bounce it off the glass. Gloved down by St. Thomas, but they'll have to come out of the zone. They'll dump it back in. Dreher and Levesque back behind the goal line. Levesque sends it up the wall. And St. Thomas able to gather it up and gets a shot. Good save by Harwood.
Attention please, assisting on the Moriarty goal was number 13, Sawyer Levesque. Moriarty from Levesque. 45 seconds.
So that was corrected. The assist was on number 13, Sawyer Levesque, to Moriarty. That puck is stuck on the ice. Levesque picks that up, gets a shot wide. He'll go into the corner, gets his own rebound, sends it up the wall. Walsh trying to keep that puck in. St. Thomas will dump it in. Dreher gets pinched off. That puck's in the slot. Shot, kick save by Harwood. And Bobcats will clear the zone. St. Thomas will gather up in the neutral zone here as they touch up. St. Thomas dumps it in behind the net. Dreher will grab it. Tries to fire it out, and that's going to go into the netting. 8:17. Left on the clock. One nothing. Bobcats here in the first period. Face off one forward by St. Thomas. Galt with it will reverse ice, send it behind the net to DeRosa. DeRosa up the wall. That's going to be, would have been icing, but St. Thomas plays it. Flipped into the zone, gloved by St. Thomas. Not sure, maybe a hand pass. But we'll get a neutral zone, or it was an offsides. Face off one by the Bobcats. DeRosa tries to flip it in. Eddie and Meyer were taking it in. Here comes St. Thomas. Great shot wide of the net. Harwood glove save. Yeah, I'm going to deviate from the shot clock. I'll stay with the shot clock. I don't know if they counted that one. From my angle, that was not. Doesn't matter, though. Face-off shot by St. Thomas. Harwood ready for it, makes the save. Face-off one for the Bobcats, who tied up. Galt will have it behind the net, sends it over to DeRosa, back to Galt. Galt up the wall. And Swiss will send that in. Hustling over to the far side, Bellabona. Bellabona gets it up the wall. Puck behind the net, gathered up by St. Thomas. It's going to come out of the zone, and Galt will dump that back in. Bobcats back on the attack. St. Thomas sends it out of the zone. DeRosa's back for it. There'll be icing waved off. DeRosa to Galt. Galt up to Swiss. Picked up by Levesque into the zone. Bobcats feed behind. Comes up the wall. Bellabona will send it back behind the net. Levesque will go into the corner, sends it over to Swiss. Swiss back to Levesque. Picked up by St. Thomas off a deflection. That comes into the neutral zone. Swiss grabs it. St. Thomas picks his pocket, and that's going to be up in the netting. Bobcats go for a change for the forward lines anyway. Looks like D already made the change. You have Schreier and Levesque out there. Moriarty taking the face-off here for the Bobcats. One to the wall. St. Thomas will gather it up. They get a shot on net, and that's going to be a goal for St. Thomas. Initial save by the Bobcats. And then it looks like a goal by McCoffey, number 22 for St. Thomas. St. Thomas with the advantage on shots on goal. They give a 9 credited to them. Bobcats with 4. We've got a 1-1 game. Eddie wins that face-off to the wall. I have to assume that was Eddie taking the face-off before, not Moriarty. Puck comes over to Meyer. Meyer will take a late hit here in front of us, sends it around. Eddie down into the corner for it. Puck's gonna come out. St. Thomas sends it all the way down for icing. That puck will come all the way back. Okay, so it sounds like that was on number 8, Mike Masalski for the goal, and Cowie was the assistant. Bobcats try to get a shot off from the point. Defended by St. Thomas and blocked. St. Thomas will speed into the zone. They'll feed it out front. Shot goes over the net. Puck into the corner. March with it. Sends it around to the far wall. DeRosa there. Puck comes out to the point. There's a shot. Goes wide of the net. Puck fed out front. It's going to bounce off the wall in front of us. St. Thomas back to gather. They'll send it into the neutral zone. They fan on the pass. And here's Kell will send that puck deep in. Bobcats go for the change. St. Thomas on the attack. They'll come out of their zone, gain neutral zone easy enough. And they'll dump it in. Goes around the wall. DeRosa picks that up. curls back, gets the pass off. Gonna come up to Swiss. Swiss sends it across. Bouncing puck, difficult to gather up. Gonna come around the near wall. St. Thomas through the neutral zone with speed. They leave it behind, nobody there but Swiss. Swiss picks it up, he's in the neutral zone. He's got support coming in now by Walsh. There's a shot, save. Walsh gets the rebound, sends it around to Swiss. Levesque out front. Swiss turns around, quick shot through the crease. Comes out to the point, another shot. That's a save, that's good, in goal for the Bobcats! Two to one, Bobcats here in the first period. Face-off won by the Bobcats. Moriarty will send it back to that's Dreher. Byer gets that puck deep into the zone, feeds it out front. Gets past the slot. Here comes St. Thomas the other way. Gets bounced off the wall. Eddie's going to send it around the back of the net. St. Thomas to pick it up here in the corner. Pressured by Moriarty. That's going to come up the wall. Centered out front. Levesque with another shot. Great job, stick work by Levesque. Going to center it across to Moriarty. Here comes Byer. He'll pick it up. Sends it down. Tries to feed it out front. Gets left. Defense was on change for the Bobcats. Hard shot in. It's going to land on Galt's stick. Great job. Great defense by Galt. Keeps the puck out to the wall. It'll get centered across ultimately by St. Thomas. Galt goes into the corner. He gets pushed from behind. They keep their arms down. Galt's getting pounded into his back and they're not blowing the whistle. Puck comes away. The officials definitely put the whistles away here. Shot. St. Thomas shanks it over the net. Into the corner. That puck is loose. St. Thomas with it will come out front. Gets sent behind, and that's going to get sent into the benches for a whistle. Goal scored by number 12, Cole Levesque, from Swiss, number 3 and 13, Sawyer Levesque, for the second goal. St. Thomas gets the puck back, picked up by Galt. Galt will send it around the back of the net to March. He's gonna shoot it over to Swiss, sauces it in. Swiss enters the zone, makes the pass across. Swiss takes the punishment. Cole with a check coming off the boards. March here with the puck will send it up. Puck gets into the zone. St. Thomas will pick that up. Into the zone, Dreher knocks it off, and then Byer gets it into the neutral zone. Good job by Byer, sends it around. We're playing. The expectations for the game have been set. Great save by Harwood. 2-1 here in the first period. The tone of the game has been set by the officials. They're not gonna, it's gonna have to be pretty egregious, and I'll appreciate that if it stays both ways. Puck won by the Bobcats out to the wall. This is tournament hockey, state tournament hockey. Let's play. That's into the neutral zone. Here come the Bobcats. They've got numbers. Eddie pulls it back. Shoot, great save by St. Thomas. That's gonna come out to the point. There's a shot tipped wide. Puck kept in by the Bobcats right on the line. St. Thomas clearly offsides. No call. That's going to be a penalty. There's a hooking penalty, but they did not get the offsides. So let's see who the penalty is on. Looks like it's going to be on the Bobcats. Number 14, Dreher. All right, well, I take it back. If you're going to start calling the picky shit, you got to call the regular stuff. Excuse my French. Sorry. So that's going to be the Bobcats are on the penalty. St. Thomas will bounce it behind the board. It's number 8 picking that up. Zalski. Puck behind the net. St. Thomas looking to work it around. They're in the face-off circle here on the near side. They're going to reverse the ice. Trying to get a pass in the middle. They've got a player on the weak side. Bobcats bounce it off the wall. Picked up by St. Thomas. They'll feed it across the middle. Great defense as it was in their skates. Levesque. And they'll call the Bobcats for offsides. Admittedly, he didn't have control coming over the line, I think would be my opinion. Therefore, you got to call it offsides. So that hooking penalty is on Dreher. St. Thomas wins it out to the wall. Regroups here, comes to the neutral zone, stretches it to the corner here. Pulls up. There are 30 seconds left on the clock for the penalty. For the period. There's a shot over the net. There's a minute left on the penalty, so the Bobcats will certainly... Oh, I'm going to be quiet here. Great save by Harwood. Another shot. Puck behind the net. Into the corner. And Byer with it. Will get it into the neutral zone, and that's how the period's going to end. Bobcats will have 38 seconds left on their penalty when we start the second period. We'll end the first period 2-1 Bobcats. See you on the other side. shot goal. Here by Eddie. Eddie into the zone with a hard shot with a snipe and a goal. Whips it down the middle. Feeds it across, and it's going to be a goal. Going around. Oh, that's a good shot and a goal. Out front, and great job, great team. Here by Eddie. Eddie into the zone with a hard shot with a snipe and a goal. Whips it down the middle, feeds it across, and it's going to be a goal. That's a good shot and a goal. Carlson, there's the shot, that's a goal. That is a it out front, and great job, great team. Shot, that's going to be the goal. Bobcats with another quick goal. Here's the second. Left on twist, that's a goal. St. Thomas with the puck, they'll kick it to the wall here. 19 pulls back. Going to create some space. Send it down into the corner. Going to come out to the point. Pass and/or shot goes wide. Pressure into the corner. And that puck is sent all the way down. Great job by Levesque, I believe that it was. Battling in the corner. Here comes St. Thomas. And the Bobcats are off the penalty. There's a shot wide of the net. Puck is still behind the net. Fed around out front. That puck is loose, and there's the whistle. Bobcats successfully fight off the penalty kill. We're back to even strength. 2-1 Bobcats. Face off one to the wall. DeRosa will send it around to Galt. Galt sends it up the wall. Bobcats on the attack. Walsh with it, feeds it out front. Swiss with it coming around the circle. There's a shot, save. Galt with a shot. That'll be covered up. Great save. Sarah Flash coming from the media deck. Not ideal. St. Thomas sends the puck up the wall. Bobcats will send it back into the zone. Swiss into the corner. Saints will send it up the wall, come out the middle. Beck will gather it up, gets it back into the neutral zone, get dumped back in. St. Thomas will re-enter the zone and guessing an offsides here. Face-off one forward by Cole Levesque. It's going to go all the way down. No icing. It's waved off. Walsh is there for it. Behind the net with it. He gets it out front. And St. Thomas will chip it out of the zone. Levesque will bounce it across. Lands on Swiss's stick. He'll enter the zone on the far side. Drops it for Walsh. Walsh will step up with a shot. St. Thomas a little late on their checks. They're definitely getting some freedom here to finish them. Again, don't have a problem with it. They're going to be consistent with it. Case in point. There's a hard shot. Great save by Harwood. Puck was loose, came back out to the wall. St. Thomas sends down low. Back to the corner, curls around to avoid the check, and delivers it, and that puck's gonna bounce out of the zone. Both teams go on the change. Beyer was applying pressure. It's gonna come up the wall. March able to gather it up briefly. St. Thomas on the attack though. There's a hard shot, blocked, and it bounces out of the zone. It's a foot race, and that's going to be offsides just by them battling for the puck. Good call. Face off again, one out to the wall. St. Thomas sends it through the neutral road. Just DeRosa anticipates it. Seats it up front! That is a beautiful goal! DeRosa centers it! And that as the Bobcats going to celebrate in front of their fans. DeRosa centers that pass, and I believe that was Moriarty, buries it. No, I'm sorry. That is Eddie. Great goal. 3-1 for the Bobcats with 11:44 left here in the second. St. Thomas will send it off the wall. Swiss back for it. Takes it behind his net. Leaves it behind. Trail will send that off the wall to Walsh. It bounces. Swiss grabs it, gets it down into the zone, dumps it in. Coming up the wall, St. Thomas will get it out of the zone. But the Bobcats will get it into the zone. Like I said, they're going to allow the hits both ways. We're good like that. Puck goes into the zone. St. Thomas is going to pick it up, send it off the wall. That's a shot saved by Harwood. Senior captain Eddie from DeRosa, the third goal. Face-off won by Eddie. Rimmed around here by Dreher. Comes up to Bellabona. Bellabona will feed Eddie through the neutral zone. Good shot and save. Both teams making some adjustments here. St. Thomas will change their forwards. Bobcats change their D. Galton, DeRosa come back out on the ice. Puck one back up the wall. That shot, puck fed back to Galt. Galt with a great shot. DeRosa with another shot, goes over the net. St. Thomas through the neutral zone with speed, but pitched off. St. Thomas will gather it back up, as they weren't going to be able to enter the zone. There's Byer with the puck. He'll enter the zone. He's got support by Eddie and Bellabona. Bellabona with it, feeds it down. Line pass though. St. Thomas will pick it up. St. Thomas loses the puck, and good job by Bellabona. Good stick check, and that's going to be covered up by Harwood. Again, both teams make a change. 10:03 on the clock. Puck shot on the face-off. Puck is tied up. St. Thomas will come away with that out to the wall. Puck fed out front. That's going to be a goal for St. Thomas. Puck got loose behind Harwood. And able to get pushed in, looks like by number 9. Marcetto. 3-2 Bobcats. St. Thomas shrinks the deficit. Puck is bouncing along here in front of us. That'll get sent in by Levesque. Walsh onto the wall. Back behind the net to apply pressure. He gets there, that puck will come out. Picked up by Levesque. He'll chip it in. St. Thomas through the neutral zone. He'll gain the zone, not cleanly. Picked up by Dreher. Swiss on the far side, takes the hit. Dreher will come for support, picks up the puck. Off the netting, that'll be a whistle.
St. Thomas goal scored by number 9, Garrett Acito. Assisted by number 22, Brandon McCarthy. And number 8, AJ Kozlowski. Acito from McCarthy and Kozlowski at 5 minutes, 10 seconds.
Puck is tied up, pulled away by St. Thomas. They'll send it through the slot, sends it out to the point, back down the wall. Doesn't connect, so goes behind the net. Here over on the near wall. Good glove by the defender for St. Thomas to glove that down. St. Thomas able to keep it in. They'll send it over to the near wall. March is there for it. He'll chip it into the zone. That should not be icing. That was tipped. I don't know how they missed that one. We'll get a Bobcat zone face-off here. Puck one out to the wall. There's a quick shot. Great save by Harwood. That puck is loose in the slot. Great job getting it out to the wall. Now it's going to go off the netting by the Bobcats. There's a great initial save there by Harwood. I don't understand, every time St. Thomas takes a shot, they give them 2 shots on net. I feel like those numbers are a bit inflated in my opinion. Not important. My normal disclaimer, I'm a homer, it's okay. Into the zone, St. Thomas gathered up behind the net, reversed the ice. And some unique bounces. There's a stretch pass, great job by Levesque to intercept it. He'll dump that puck in. Bobcats would have been offsides anyway. St. Thomas sends it into the neutral zone, reverse to the near wall here. Levesque sends it across. Moriarty will dump that in. Fired. There's one of those bounces off one of the walls here. It's not as predictable as you might want to like it to be. Good puck right there. Moriarty into the zone with a shot and a save. Face-off won by Levesque. He'll get that puck around the back of the net. St. Thomas will come out of the zone. Puck out into the circle. Bobcats gather it up. DeRosa gets it out of the zone. Swiss tips it in. Low angle shot goes right through. Yeah, I'm sorry. They're not giving it to him. It touched the goalie as it went through. I'll give it to him. I can't believe they were going to call that icing. Never got waved off. Here comes St. Thomas into the zone. Pull wide, backhand, great save by Harwood. .6:39 here in the second period. Bobcats 3, Saints 2. Stalemate of a face-off, comes in the zone. That's Wixon applying pressure down in the corner. Comes out to the wall. Back behind the net, St. Thomas gathered it up. They're gonna send it off the glass. And good job by Dalton, keeps that puck wide. Fire to support. Wixon down low. And that puck's gonna come out. Fire with it, he's got support by Levesque. Fire with a low shot, comes out the middle. Oh, bounces right in front. Puck's gonna come out of the zone. Byer will spin around with it. He'll dump it back into the zone. Bobcats on the change. And that's gonna hit, oh, I thought that was gonna hit the scoreboard. That was a high flip. Icing waved off, that's a good call. Here comes Moriarty. Puck knocked off his stick, and here comes St. Thomas. Great job by Dreher. Puck back into the neutral zone. Oh, great save by Harwood. That's gonna be icing for St. Thomas. Great save by Harwood there. Biases are really coming out tonight. That puck down below, fed out to the slot, but picked up by the Bobcats. Here comes Levesque, he'll feed Walsh. Walsh takes that wide, he's got Levesque behind him, he feeds him. Shot does not get through. Here comes St. Thomas the other way. Into the zone, dropped behind. Fed back, out front. That was a great job by the Bobcats. That puck was sitting right there, and I'm not sure who got their skate in front of it, and then Harwood slid over to protect it. I say that was on the doorstep. The door was open too. Face-off won by the Bobcats, comes up the far wall. Eddie will get that through the neutral zone. They're gonna put the arms up for icing and bring that back. With it behind the goal line. Rosa will reverse it around. Picked up by March. He'll bounce it off the wall out to the point. St. Thomas fans on the shot. March will pick it up into the corner, bounce it around to DeRosa. Gets past him. Wixton's here. Bounced off the wall. And St. Thomas missed. I don't even know if they got a shot on net, but the scoreboard will say it. And there's icing somehow again. Bobcats are not getting any luck with the icing calls. Face off, one out to the wall. Levesque will send it around. St. Thomas will win the race down the wall, and they're behind the net. They feed it out front. That comes right back in. That puck is still loose. Fed out front, and that's going to come off the glass. Bobcats clear it. Getting the hands up for icing, but they'll get there. St. Thomas will get there first, but they never signal to wave it off. Never once. St. Thomas through the neutral zone. They got speed into the zone. Shot, save, and it's too wide for... That puck's going to bounce off the walls. Bobcats coming through the zone. Byer with a shot, rebound. Hard shot. That's going to deflect up.
Bobcats. Certainly great defense by St. Thomas, not allowing a clean shot. 3:15 left here in the period. Face off one back. Drea will dump that in behind the net. Back to the wall, comes up, Walsh to support. And here comes St. Thomas the other way in the neutral zone. Dreher knocks that puck off. That is definitely a hand pass, but they're gonna call it offsides. Bobcats win that face off, get into the neutral zone, but lands on St. Thomas's stick. So flip that into the zone. St. Thomas enters the zone. Coming down the middle, and that's going to be a great save. I don't know why the whistle took 8 minutes to be blown, but great save by Hartwood. Taken by Lindbeck, that's going to come across the crease. Picked up here by Walsh. Walsh into the neutral zone. Feeds it across. That puck gets left right out front. Quick whistle there, and there's not even a Bobcat near him. Good defense by St. Thomas as they entered the zone. Face off one back out to the point. Moriarty behind the net. Support by Eddie. He's going to go into the corner. St. Thomas will get out of the zone. Enter with speed. They're right down the middle. Great job by the Bobcats to kick that wide. They'll come off the wall with it. It's going to bounce off the wall here to Moriarty. Moriarty will send that in. That's going to be a great opportunity for the Bobcats. Puck down low again, comes up the wall. Moriarty here with a shot wide, pass wide. Good job by St. Thomas to get that out to the wall. Moriarty will keep that in. Ships it below the goal line. St. Thomas below the net with it. Will send it up the wall and around. Galt with it in the neutral zone. And St. Thomas gets the bounce. Into the zone they go. Oh, and now the arm's gonna go up. Bobcats will get another penalty. Looks like a tripping call on Levesque. Well, another period. Late in the period, the Bobcats get a penalty here. Number 16, that's on Galt. Minute 11 left on the clock here in the second period. Face-off won by the Bobcats. Dreher with it behind the net. Sends it off the wall, gets out of the zone. St. Thomas will turn around, take it right back in. Great stick check by Byer, gets it out of the zone. He's gonna spin it back and then just dump it in. Good job. St. Thomas gathering some speed here in the neutral zone, but the Bobcats in the right space. Feathered back into St. Thomas's zone. St. Thomas reacts a little bit. Send it out to the neutral zone. And the Bobcats will get that chipped up into the zone. There's a foot race for it. Levesque's there. He's gonna get a shot on net.
and they force him to release it. Good call. That's the right thing. Here comes St. Thomas into the zone with speed. 8 seconds left on the clock. That puck's in the corner. Sawyer Levesque gets it out of the zone, sends it all the way down. And that is the end of the period. Bobcats successfully So the Bobcats will start the second period with 49 seconds left on the clock for the penalty. We'll see you on the other side of intermission. Shot, that's going to be the goal. Bobcats with another quick goal. Here's the second. Left on twist, that's a goal.
Bobcats. He times it perfectly. Gets it fed right across for the rebound. Low shot for the rebound. That's a goal for the Bobcats. Bobcats feet out front. That's going to be a goal. Great hands. It's going to be a shot and a goal. Out of the zone. Bobcats will gain the zone. Get a hard shot. That's a goal. Out front. Shot off the goalie's mask. Another shot. And that's going to be a shot goal. Hard shot with a snipe and a goal. Wicks it down the middle. Feeds it across, and that's going to be a goal. Going around. God, that's a good shot and a goal. Good job by Mark to keep that in. Mark send that across. That's a rocket by Carlson. Carlson, there's the shot. That's a goal. It out front, and great job, great team. Hard shot with a snipe and a goal. Wicks it down the middle, feeds it across, and that's going to be a goal. Going around. God, that's a good shot and a goal. Good job by Mark to keep that in. Mark send that across. That's a rocket by Carlson. Carlson, there's the shot. That's a goal. It out front, and great job, great team. shot. That's going to be the goal. Bobcats with another quick goal. Here's the second. third period. Bobcats will start this period 49 seconds on the penalty. Score is currently 3-2. Bobcats start the third period. Semifinal action here from D2 hockey in New Hampshire. Bobcats, the number 2 seed. St. Thomas, the 3 seed. 1 goal difference coming into the third period. Are on the ice, the officials look ready, goalies are in the net. I don't know, they're gonna signal over to me to see if the TV crew's ready. I'm ready, let's go. Officials checking the net. I guess they were making sure the net was ready to go. We're ready for the puck drop. Beck will be taking the drop. 49 seconds left on the penalty for the Bobcats. That's called to the penalty box. 21 for St. Thomas wins the faceoff. St. Thomas will get right on the attack quickly. Feed it across. Bobcats intercept that. They'll send it all the way down. St. Thomas regroups. Tipped up in the air. That's going to come down to Byer. Byer gets that puck back into the neutral zone. Levesque picked it up, loses the puck. 20 seconds left on the penalty. St. Thomas will dump that puck in, rim it all the way around. Levesque patient, sends it back into the corner. Puck's gonna pop out. Byer sends that all the way down. 4 seconds on the penalty. And the penalty clears. Even strength. St. Thomas left the puck behind. They're gonna come up the near wall. Moriarty picks that up. Puck's fanned on here. St. Thomas right on the attack. Dreher does a good job, gets that puck off the stick, and Bobcats will send it back in for an icing. 13:50 on the clock, we're even strength. Puck is tied up, comes into the slot, comes out to the point, hard shot, great save by Harwood. Comes away with that puck, sends it up the wall. Swiss here, battling on the wall against 2 of St. Thomas. St. Thomas sends it back down the wall. They'll pull it off the wall through the slot. Feeds in out front. Shot goes wide of the net. Comes back up the wall. St. Thomas will dump it back in behind the net. March will send it along the wall. Walsh feeds it up. St. Thomas was there. Pass coming across the middle. Doesn't find a home. March will rim it back around. DeRosa coming along the wall, help from Wash. That puck gathered up by St. Thomas out to the point. There's a shot, streaks through the slot, goes wide of the net. Puck's bounced up, covered up there by Harwood. Bobcats. send it up off the glass. That's gonna, I don't understand what the whistle was for, but they'll pull it back in. Face off again in the zone. Let's see if St. Thomas can get possession of the puck this time. They do. Control it in the zone. They'll feed it across the middle, but here comes Byer. Byer through the neutral zone, holds on to it. He'll dump that in. There's a backhand shot. Kicked wide. St. Thomas stretches it down the middle. Hard shot. Great job by Harwood. Wins it out. The puck was loose. And there's a whistle. Player down behind the net, I guess. Looks like a player was hurt. I didn't see what happened. I suspect the puck will come out of the zone for the face-off. Should, it does. Neutral zone face-off. Teams make changes, both of them did. 12:13 on the clock. Third period. Face-off won by the Bobcats. March with it here. He's gonna feed over to Swiss. Swiss gains mid-ice, turns around, gets into the zone, feeds it across the middle, just beyond the reach of Levesque. Gonna come back out to the neutral zone. March with it here, will dump it back in. Down below the goal line, St. Thomas has another whistle. I have no idea. That's neutral zone face-off again. So St. Thomas coach having words with the official. As does everyone else, seems a bit concerned with what happened there. Face-off won by St. Thomas. They'll win it back, chip it out into the neutral zone. March will fire that in. That's back behind the net, off the side of the net. Picked up by Levesque. He cuts back. Wixon sends it out front. St. Thomas sent it back in on their goalie, not intentionally. It's gonna come across. Good shot. And it's gonna be a goal for the Bobcats. 4-2 here in the third period. 11:30 left on the clock. That'll be Levesque for the fourth goal here in the third period. Student section going crazy up there. That'll come back in. Face-off won by Bobcats, but St. Thomas into the zone. Gonna bounce it off the wall to Eddie. St. Thomas gathers it back up in the neutral zone. Feathers it on the backhand, kicked wide by Harwood. He'll send it up the wall. Here comes Byer off the wall. Eddie chips it into the zone. St. Thomas down into the corner to pick it up. They'll come back off the wall. Gather it up in the neutral zone. Enters the zone, slips it in, feeds it across the slot. Nice move. Nobody was home for it. Puck is still loose. Bobcats will chip it out into the neutral zone. 10:56, foot race. Byer's there for it. Great move, fakes him out. Fed out front, shot. Goes wide of the net, gathered up by Byer. He's gonna take the shot, kicked wide. Wicks it down into the corner. St. Thomas rims it around. Levesque keeps that puck down below the goal line. Sends it over to the corner. Bobcats on a change. St. Thomas up the wall. D-to-D passes here. Trail will send it up to Swiss. Elbows again a little higher here in the third period. 10 minutes left on the clock. That puck's going to get sent in, kicked wide. St. Thomas goalie just feathers it off, and that's going to be into St. Thomas's bench. So it's Levesque for Whitson on the 4th goal. So one back by the Bobcats, shot, saved by St. Thomas. Handled it well. Here up the wall. Puck will get into the neutral zone. St. Thomas will enter with speed. They've got numbers. Puck deflected out to the corner. Beck will pick it up along the wall. Comes out to the point. St. Thomas will dump that back in behind the net. Fed out front. Puck was loose. It's still in the slot. Out to the point. Feeds to the circle. That's going to be a goal. St. Thomas responds. 9:15 on the clock. St. Thomas will bring it up 4-3. Not what I'm looking for, but as a hockey fan, this is a great game of hockey. Face off one back by St. Thomas. They'll send it on the near boards here. Picked up by March. March will send it across the middle. St. Thomas is able to knock it in. Comes off DeRosa's stick. St. Thomas picks it up, feeds it out front. Off of Bobcat skate. Swiss into the zone. Gets pitched off. St. Thomas going the other way. Being offside. Delayed offsides. Bobcats get a shot on net out of it. St. Thomas down the far wall. Stopped playing the puck. Great job by St. Thomas to try to keep it in. Puck is still loose. St. Thomas will dump that into the zone. DeRosa will pick that up. March pulls off the wall, goes to the far wall. Swiss coming across the middle. He's going to dump that in. 8:22 left on the clock. Goes to the corner. Bobcats on the change. St. Thomas a little slow to react to it, but here they come now. And that puck will get out of the arena. 8:08 left on the clock. Third period, 4-3 Bobcats.
Assisted by number 4, Thomas Edgerly. Kozlowski from Edgerly at 5 minutes 45 seconds.
Bobcats will flip that into the neutral zone. That's a hand pass. That one gets called and will come all the way back down. Face-off won by the Bobcats. Shot saved. St. Thomas out to the wall. Byer will send it out to the point. Back down to Byer. St. Thomas was quick to get there, intercept it. And they're on the attack. Shot deflected. Comes through the slot. Good hands by St. Thomas to intercept that pass by the Bobcats in the neutral zone. They'll transition. Back onto the attack. Fed out front. Byer's there. Great job by Byer to get his stick in the way of that shot. Point was stepping in, take a hard shot. Moriarty behind the net, guarding the puck. St. Thomas will pull it off the wall. They'll center it into the neutral zone. Here comes St. Thomas. Shot over the net. Into the corner, they'll pull back. Send it back behind the net. Traere's into the corner. He'll flip it up the wall. Comes out to the point for St. Thomas. St. Thomas will send it back below the goal line. Traere takes the check. Both players down. Puck is loose right out front. That's going to be a goal for St. Thomas. That ties the game at 4. 6:47 left here in the third period. We've got a tie game.
just like the game we had in Dover earlier in the season. Tie game, third period. St. Thomas with the puck. They're regrouping here. Into the neutral zone they go. Slip it through. Great play. Great job by DeRosa. Coming across, St. Thomas still with it. They'll feed it out front. Good stick check in the slot. That puck's in the netting. And they'll blow the whistle. 6:25 here. St. Thomas. Puck one into the slot, picked up by Walsh. Still in the Bobcat zone. Puck gets sent in, bounced off the wall here in the neutral zone. That'll go into the zone, no icing. St. Thomas with it behind it will send it to the near wall, mid wall. They'll center it. Coming down in through the neutral zone. Number 19 will flip it in, wide of the net. Bobcats here as St. Thomas goes on the change. Swiss coming through the neutral zone. He gained the offensive zone shot. Pad save, kicked wide, kept in. Fed, right up the middle. St. Thomas got numbers. It's a foot race for it. They pull up shots. Blocked by the Bobcats. Fed down low. And St. Thomas fans on the shot in the slot. And now it comes back through. There's a shot tipped wide. Eddie's going to send that around. St. Thomas gets there, sends it down the wall, feeds it out front, picked up behind the net. Puck will come out to the wall. Eddie down below the goal line with it. He's going to flip it into the neutral zone, send it all the way down for an icing. 5:03 left in the period. Both teams will get a change here. That goal was by number 12. I'm not sure who the assist was from. You might have heard it. Face-off won by St. Thomas forward. Eddie will bounce it off the wall. Sorry. Walsh, Eddie with it, coming into the zone. Hard shot, and it's a goal! The Bobcats send the water bottle for the goalie up in the air. And the Bobcats are on top again. 5-4, 4:52 left in the third period. Left. Bobcats are back on top. That was senior captain Eddie for the goal. We'll see if there's an assist credited. Eddie's going to send it back in on net. St. Thomas gathers it up behind their goal line. They'll come up the middle of the ice. Both teams playing extremely hard. Fire with a hard pitch here on the near wall. Picked up by the Bobcats. Sent out. That's going to be an icing. Just beyond the reach. So unassisted for Eddie. This is the announcement here in the arena. St. Thomas down behind the goal line. They'll send it out to the point. There's a shot. Gets tipped. Puck's loose and covered up by Harwood. We'll face off on the near side dot. Puck is dropped.
in the skates. Here come the Bobcats with it. They've got numbers, 3-on-2. Levesque's gonna feed. There's a shot on net. Oh! Opportunity by Swiss behind the net. Here comes the St. Thomas. They've got numbers. And the save by Harwood. Bobcats transitioning back on offense. It's coming the other way. Cole Sawyer Levesque slips it, pulls back, feeds it across the slot. Transition, St. Thomas back on offense. The Levesque brothers there on the far wall. Fed across. Shot saved by Harwood. Low angle shot over the net. That puck is loose and covered up. Great job by Harwood. Boys, keep your composure. Here in the third. No surprise, these two teams battling. It looks like that'll be a timeout by St. Thomas. Let's see. Timeout's over, 3:18, 5-4 Bobcats. Third period, playoff hockey. Bobcats win that faceoff. They're gonna get it out of the zone. Byer with it, enters the zone. Gets a shot, deflected wide. Gets his own rebound though. Gets support by Eddie along the wall. Puck is tied up along the wall. And that's gonna kick through. St. Thomas will pick it up and go behind their net. They stretch it out, great pass through the neutral zone. There's a shot. Blocker save high. Puck is loose somewhere along the side of that net. Gonna go off into the corner. St. Thomas comes down the wall with it. They send it up. Yeah, there it is. There's the wave off. St. Thomas will pick it up. 2:24 left. Byer comes into the zone, gets a shot over the net. St. Thomas gonna stretch it out again here to 19 on the near side. Dreher sends it in. There's the hit. Good hands again by St. Thomas to keep it in. They feed it out front. Shot wide of the net. St. Thomas still controlling it. Byer with it. He skates it into the neutral zone. He loses an edge. He goes down. St. Thomas is going to transition right back to the neutral zone attack. Levesque to that puck. Flips it in. Leaves it for Eddie. Eddie with a shot. Great save by St. Thomas. Minute 38 on the clock. 1-goal game. be a Bobcat timeout. Face-off here, in zone for the Bobcats. Won by the Bobcats. Levesque gets a shot on net. Comes up the wall. Eddie's there to pin it. Minute 30 clock ticking down. That puck's loose. Levesque with it. Good job by St. Thomas to gather it. Eddie pins it on the boards again. He's walking it down. It's going to pop loose. Here comes St. Thomas. Good attempt on it into the neutral zone. Puck is still loose. St. Thomas into the zone. That's going to be a penalty for the Bobcats. It's going to be a hooking call here. Minute left on the clock. And the Bobcats are going to end this period, hopefully, on the penalty kill yet again. Minute 2 on the clock. And a penalty for the Bobcats. It's going to be 2 minutes for hooking. We got an open net for St. Thomas, so they've got 6 on 4 here. Bobcats win the face-off. March with it, sends it up the wall, but it's deflected. Puck's out front, covered up by, puck was loose, but the whistle was blown. Face-off on the far dot. Clock in the arena's got us at just under 55 seconds. Bobcats with it on the wall. St. Thomas centers it. Byer with it, sends it out to the point though. Shot, and that's going to be a goal for St. Thomas to tie it. 46 seconds on the clock. Oh boy. .46 seconds on the clock. Tough to defend a 6 on 4. We are tied 5-5. Here in the third. Eddie will take the face-off for the Bobcats. Wins it back. St. Thomas through the neutral zone. Hard shot, misses wide. Comes out to the point, dumped in. Sent up the wall. Kept in. Sent through the neutral zone, doesn't connect. Touched up by St. Thomas. Comes out to the point. Bobcats get it back into the neutral zone. Will bounce it off the wall. And they time it just right. Puck goes behind the net. It's loose. Bounced off the wall to the near side. Shot
Deflected to the corner, and that's going to be the end of the third period. We're going to overtime, folks. Well, I will see you after the next intermission.
Assisted by number 22, Brandon McCarthy. Acito for McCarthy at 14 minutes, 14 seconds.
Shot, that's going to be the goal. Bobcats with another quick goal. Here's the second. Left on twist, that's a goal.
Bobcats. He times it perfectly. Gets it fed right across for the rebound. Low shot for the rebound. That's a goal for the Bobcats. Bobcats feet out front. That's going to be a goal. Great hands. It's going to be a shot and a goal. Out of the zone. Bobcats will gain the zone. Get a hard shot. That's a goal. Out front. Shot off the goalie's mask. Another shot. And that's going to be a shot goal. Hard shot with a snipe and a goal. Wicks it down the middle. Beats it across, and that's going to be a goal. Going around. God, that's a good shot and a goal. Carlson, there's the shot. That's a goal. Feeds it out front. And great job. Great team. Hard shot with a snipe and a goal. Wicks it down the middle. Beats it across, and that's going to be a goal. Going around. God, that's a good shot and a goal. Carlson, there's the shot. That's a goal. Feeds it out front. And great job. Great team. That's how you finish. Way to hold that puck down. That's going to be a goal for the Bobcats. Moriarty. Bouncing, it's in the slot. That's Moriarty for the goal. Bobcats first on the board. Back in, pick that up. Get a shot. Deflected wide. Then back. Puck's on the corner. It's going to be a goal for the Bobcats. Beats it out front. That's going to be a goal for the Bobcats. Fire with a shot. That's going to be the goal. Bobcats with another quick goal here in the second.
overtime. 5-5. Wish I could tell you all the overtime rules, but I believe it is sudden death. First to score will head to SNU on Saturday. Been a great game of hockey. Face-off won here by the Bobcats. On the wall in front of us. That's into the zone. Shot by St. Thomas, saved. Great save by Harwood down below the line. That's gonna come out to the point. Shot. Kicked wide. St. Thomas buries the puck for the win. That puck got stuck behind Harwood. St. Thomas pushes it in for the win. Heartbreaking night here for the Bobcats. Incredibly hard-fought game here at Everett Arena. 22 seconds into the period, St. Thomas finishes the game. Certainly congratulations to St. Thomas for a well-played game. You know my heart's with the Bobcats here tonight.
Unassisted at 22 seconds. Congratulations to both teams on a fabulous season. St. Thomas Aquinas advances to the 2025 NHLAA Division II Boys Ice Hockey Championship game to be played this Saturday, March 15th.
Heartbreaking loss here for the Bobcats here tonight.
St. Thomas Aquinas will play against Merrimack, Hollis, Brooklyn, Derryfield. Please consult the NHLAA website for the official start to Saturday's game.
Not much I can say, but what I will say is the sportsmanship on the ice between these two teams. A lot of respect. A lot of these players have played together for many years.
Correction, the St. Thomas scores to a scorekeeper of 21, Aiden Tibbetts.
Good luck to St. Thomas.
At 22 seconds.
Some of these Bobcats, this is their last game, high school hockey game. This team will be back next year.